And I realized...
Can we start over?
Yeah, why?
I like dorky.
Well, you always look dorky. Okay. Hey guys, it's Caleb. As we continue our stay-at-home order, I realized that I am living with one of the essential employees who still gets to go to work. And so I figured we could interview him because I live with him, I see him every day. And I know a lot of you guys have asked me questions about being a flight attendant. And so today we're gonna interview my boyfriend Skyler about being a flight attendant. But before we get started, as always, I have my Topo Chico. So while I'm taking a Topo Chico and he's taking a drink of water, go ahead and like and subscribe. And let's get started. So the first question comes from Nayeli, and she wants to know, did you always know that you wanted to be a flight attendant?
No, I didn't know I wanted to be a flight attendant until after college.
What did you used to want to be?
I used to want to be a computer engineer.
Okay, which works into the next question. Katie asks, why did you choose to be a flight attendant?
Oh, I love to travel, and I came to a conclusion that life experience is more than making money, and why not become a flight attendant and you get paid to travel? Cool.
Okay, so you said you want to be a flight attendant. There were actually a couple people that asked about the training. So Carla and Mariana both asked questions about the training, like what it takes to become a flight attendant. So talk about that.
It's 7.5 weeks of intensive training. We go over life-saving skills, firefighting, aircraft familiarizations. We do evacuation drills, and then we have 1 week of customer service. So everything else was safety-related duties.
So when I first started dating you, I thought that flight attendants just served snacks and drinks and closed the doors.
Yeah, 8 weeks of intense training just to pour a Coke, so.
So how many days did they actually spend like teaching you how to mix drinks and serve drinks?
A week.
Just a week?
Just a week.
Out of your entire 2 months?
Entire 2 month training is just a week.
So it's mostly safety?
Safety.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So now you've finished your training, mm-hmm. and one of the perks of being a flight attendant is that you get to fly around for free, right? So Daniel asks, how many free flights do you get, and how does all of that work?
We fly standby. Standby tickets are unlimited, and it's based on an unsold availability seats.
So basically, you go to the gate, and if there's a seat that's open, right at the end, they put you on at the end, right?
Correct.
So you could get a first class seat?
You could get a first class.
Or
just a regular old main cabin seats.
Whatever doesn't sell.
In the back of the plane.
It depends.
It could be a middle seat for 16 hours.
So you've flown to Europe first class, but you've also flown, in like a regular old economy seat.
Internationally, I have never flew in economy, only in business first class.
Okay. So it's talking about all the places that you've been. What's the coolest place that you've been on a work trip?
Barcelona, Spain.
Oh, on a work trip?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
Out of New York.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did I know that?
You knew that.
Okay, and then what's the coolest place that you've non-revenued to as like a trip?
Let's see. Auckland, New Zealand.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
How long was that flight?
15 hours? 15
hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Haley wants to know, when you're on the flight and you're working the flight, what do the passengers get, or what do you do for the passengers when they're getting on the plane? What do they get?
Depend on which context that is. If you're in first class, first thing we do as you coming on, we offer you pre-departure beverage. And then once we're in flight, we offer you, depend on which flight, lunch, dinner, following with dessert service and a coffee and tea service.
So if it's a really big plane, a really long flight, the service is really, really extensive.
Internationally, you get 3-course meals.
For first class?
First class.
Right.
On domestic, you just get a basic business class service. Say you do a transcon. Transcon is from East Coast to West Coast, West Coast to East Coast. East Coast, West Coast?
Yeah, you're right.
You get a lunch service, breakfast service, or a dinner service, following by fresh baked cookie or ice cream sundaes or cheesecake depend on which market preference.
The next section of questions, a lot of people asked about customer stories. There were several people that asked about like strange or crazy requests that customers have given you. So what's the strangest thing that a customer has asked you for?
If I could go on a date with their son.
And you said?
I said no because I'm dating a teacher.
Oh, wow.
I already have a boyfriend.
Don't say that like, a teacher. Ugh.
I mean, I'm settling for a teacher.
Wow.
I'm an adventurous person, and teachers are just 9-to-5 person, you know?
Okay, Edwin, I'm going to just move on. I'm just going to move on. Edwin wants to know, what do you do when somebody speaks a language that you don't speak?
Great question. Depend on what kind of flight it is. Domestically, you could have either 2 or 3 speaker flight attendants on the flight. Internationally, you could have, say we're going from Dallas to Paris, you'll automatically have 3 French speaker. Within those 3 French speaker, you may have a Cantonese speakers, you may have a Spanish speakers, depend on the aircraft and depend on destinations specific.
So if you're going to China, there's Chinese speakers on the crew.
Automatically.
If you're going to Mexico, there's Spanish speakers on the crew.
Or a French speaker.
Yeah.
A Spanish speaker can also pick up those flights.
So if you speak Spanish and you're a flight attendant and you're one of the Spanish speakers, do you make more that way?
Of course. The more languages you speak, able to speak, the more compensation you'll get on top of your regular pay rate.
Oh, okay. Okay, next question. Have you ever had to kick somebody off of a plane?
Oh, definitely.
Why?
Unruly drunk passengers are most common.
Was that before the flight? Or have you had to kick somebody off? I mean, obviously you can't kick them off mid-flight.
No.
Just throw them out.
Before door closure.
What is the weirdest drink order that anybody has ordered on a plane?
A blended margarita. Imagine having a blender on the plane. Which airline has those kind of material? Let me know. I would happily non-ravel on those.
So there's no margarita machine on the back of your 737s?
No. We can only do on the rocks, over ice, or straight up.
Interesting. What is the cringiest thing a passenger has done on the plane?
Walk into the lavatory barefoot and not washing their hands.
So somebody's just walked into the lavatory barefoot.
And me as a flight attendant, I would tell them those liquids on the ground is not water. And being a flight attendant, you'll know specific sounds or any noise that come within the aircraft or coming on from certain corners of the aircraft. And not flushing, we will automatically know that you don't wash your hands. And we just don't talk to you if you don't wash your hands.
Wash your hands, you nasties. It's gross. Okay, those are the last of the questions that I got on Instagram. These are my questions. He doesn't know about these. I didn't tell you about these.
Gosh.
Okay. First question. What do you love most about being a flight attendant?
The flexibility. I don't have a 9-to-5 schedule.
Shout out.
I make my own schedule. I bid for them. I don't have to work with the same people every day. And I work with different sets of equipment each flight.
See, I like the stability. I like the consistency.
I like changes.
And my last question, I have a ton of students that have asked me about becoming a flight attendant because they know that you're a flight attendant. If you could talk to any of my students that are interested in being a flight attendant, what advice would you give them, a high school student who wants to be a flight attendant?
Of course, finish your high school, get your diploma, recommended an AS or AA associate's degree, a bachelor's is recommended, plus on top of that, 2 years face-to-face customer service. And then you don't have to go to a so-called flight attendant school. Those flight schools are a scam. They'll charge you hands and arms and legs for those training.
Like independent of the airline?
Right. So every airline trains you differently. They have different service standards, they have different aircraft. So apply to the airline directly, and then the airlines will train you the way they like you to be trained.
Interesting. Anything else?
flight attendants are essential workers.
Thanks for, like, you know, keeping our country moving and all that stuff, even though you are going out there during the midst of this pandemic, so that's cool.
We fly you home, so stay home for us. That's it.
He has a YouTube channel. You should subscribe, and you should make him make more videos, because he's gotten lazy. So comment on his videos, tell him to make another video. Other than that, thanks for watching.
Bye!